We've all grown up with RPGs. Whether it was grinding in RuneScape or upgrading in Diablo, you more than likely have played one. But if you've ever taken a look at ads from today, it's more oriented towards
virtual reality exploding in popularity.
VR headset.
Virtual reality.
VR. Many, like myself, have indulged in this technology, spending hours upon hours in VR games, mainly VR chat. But there are also those out there who want to experience RPGs again, only in a VR environment. People who have that itch for getting skills, using spells, dungeon crawling with friends, and hunting legendary weapons together. There's just something different that hits when you're using a VR headset and seeing everything from a first-person perspective with your own eyes and hands. I've tried looking far and wide for a good VR RPG. Zenith is not that great despite the hype behind it. Legendary Tales is only a dungeon crawler, even though it's very good when it comes to skills and rarities for weapons. I've waited so long for something interesting to surface. I think it finally has. The sole developer under the alias Void Reality Lab has been working on something behind the scenes. His project he calls Sword Islands. And while we haven't been given much information about everything in the game, the developer logs have revealed enough to grab my attention. This, by far, is the most excited I have ever been for a VR game. In the first episode of the devlogs, the developer shows the combat system he's been working on, and it's the most impressive I have ever seen in a VR RPG.
The Blade Arts. A Blade Art is like a signature move that deals tons of damage, and can be performed when you have the right amount of mana. Swords in my game have up to 4 Blade Art slots, which means that at some point you'll be walking around with 4 different signatures to perform in combat. Making the choice of which art to perform is motion based.
It's fast, but not too fast. It includes skills, multiple enemies, both long range and short range attacks. In this demonstration, he shows the multiple swords and their blade arts, which appear to be skills that can be equipped to the swords themselves. Each sword also seems to have 4 slots for these said arts, and we can tell that different arts have elements, such as fire, earth, and wind. Enemy attacks can be parried, allowing for more damage to be done if executed correctly. All of this is in the very first log, and it has me absolutely obsessed. In the second log, he shows off the world development, which at the moment is only a prototype.
Just to sculpt the whole landscape of the game. Well, at least the first island. And yes, there will be multiple ones. Each have a different biome to explore, however the core gameplay loops stay consistent through all of them. You can buy or sell items from the merchants, upgrade your equipments by the blacksmith, or teleport to a new island using the center teleporter in the city. In short, an imposter is an optimized mesh that has a very minimum amount of vertices, and the original mesh using a special shader will be projected into the optimized mesh. The main dungeons being those giant rocky structures that you can see from far away.
He seems to have the town figured out, as well as the towers, which serve as dungeons in a way. He also has informed us about the optimization and said that despite it looking very good, it will still run smooth due to the implemented features that other games had in them, such as imposters, by projecting mesh onto the original mesh using an optimized shader. Seeing as how the developer is not only thinking about the world being made, but also the optimization is already a huge benefit to those who want to play. And seeing as how the game is also described as co-op multiplayer, it's definitely a good thing to see. In the third log, he shows off the climbing and gliding mechanic he made for the game.
So yeah, this is the basic climbing kinda. Grab from the ledge, as I said, with the dynamic poses, and do it again and grab. Again and grab. Tower itself, climbing it, and the path you take to climb it will differ, and it will get slightly harder each time.
The towers mentioned before are meant to be climbed, so the developer worked on a system and added what looks like kinetic motion, allowing the users to fling themselves up the tower instead of simply climbing. However, he did also showcase something else: bird eggs. And while this may not seem as exciting to others at first glance, keep in mind, this is an RPG. The eggs when picked up are labeled as raw eggs, implying that they can be cooked. This means that there could be a cooking system in the future, and in the fourth log, that's confirmed. In the fourth log, the developer shows his work on a fishing system. He stated that every high-paced action game usually has some sort of fishing minigame, so he wanted to implement something of the sort.
You can see over here we got a lake. That's where we obviously gonna do the fishing. I filled the lake with holographic fishes. Also, if you try to stick your head into the water, you'll get this drag, you'll get this like depth of field. Do this. That was very quick, so let me explain step by step how it works.
He made a small pond, holographic fish, a fishing rod, and showcased what the underwater scene looked like from a VR perspective. What he also shown, but blurred out, was the inventory system. With a slide from the right to the left, it appears to summon a menu system versus the menu in Sword Art Online swiping up to down. This means that he more than likely has the entire menu, if not most, already figured out. When he showcases the fishing minigame and catches a fish, it's labeled as a cooking item, with a star rarity, name of fish, a brief description, and 2 options to trash it or add it to your inventory. The cooking item label confirms the claim about cooking. But the rarity of the fish and the species are also interesting. Will there be higher rarities? Will certain species be in certain areas? What about seasons? There are so many questions, but sadly this is the most recent log he's put out. Keep in mind, that was only 2 weeks ago. I've dreamed so long for a good VR RPG, but the problem with most games I get excited about is support and funding towards them. The developer or developers get discouraged that nobody wants what they're putting out. Real work pays more and they need a roof to live under. I've already checked all over. I can't find a Patreon of any sort to support this man in his journey. So I'm doing the one thing I can do. Go support him, subscribe to him, follow his Twitter, and wishlist this game on Steam. This is our chance to finally have a good VR RPG. And has so little attention to it. We can't just let this go unnoticed. Its potential that has so much to offer.